covering our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
And we're back. This one won't be very long at all. No, maybe. Yeah, I got 40 minutes till the meeting starts. We'll see. I should probably never really guess on how long they're going to be. Because sometimes I think, well, I'll be able to talk about this for 40 minutes, and then 15 minutes later, I have nothing else to say. No, this was just something I was kind of thinking about. Because I mean, if you don't know me very well, I have no problem stirring the pot. Can you guys hear him rubbing on the microphone? Yes, hijack. Kitty. I tend to stir the pot. Now, when I say that, my intentions are to create change. Right? In the last 5 years, I've done a lot of work in my own community. And there's been a lot of nefarious people that have reared their ugly head. I'm going to go open the window for the cat. I think that's what he wants. He probably actually wants love. That's what he wants. But no, you wanted the window open, huh? Look at you get all excited. There you go. Now you can go play with your friends. Right. But sometimes the truth can sound like judgment, man. And there are some truths, and I'm not going to say that I haven't slipped into judgment and done that because, well, that just wouldn't be true. But I am willing to, make amends if need be. But you really gotta know your stuff first. So we're going to talk about this. Is it judging or is it intuition? All right. So during the last 9 months, you want to know one of the number one things that I've heard? You were right about that person, Dion. I hear it all the time. Not something unusual for me to hear, right? Hi, Amber. Amber says Virgos judge everyone but then we relate and accept. That's awesome. Welcome to Daily Trudge, Dion, host, most, stuff, neon. I'm just throwing adjectives at you. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. All right. Now, was I judging these people? No, I was not. All right. It has to do with emotion. Right. There are times when people will tell me, oh, this person's great. And I meet them. And I'm like, there is something not right here. My intuition starts to go off, right? Something ain't right here. And it's happened to you too. I know it's happened to you. People that listen to me, we tend to go through the same stuff together. That's why you listen to me, because we kind of have the same stuff, right? Amber said, I was told you tried to warn me about that person yesterday. Today, I was just trying to vent, not warn. Oh, I didn't take it that way at all, Amber. Not at all. Yeah. In fact, I didn't even put that together. So, but that certainly was not my intention in that case. If it did come across a different way, I apologize. Right. Chris, good to see you, brother. Good to see you, dude. All right. So let's kind of get into this. It says intuition is a subconscious, automatic insight of or feeling based on past, eternalized experiences, while judgment is a conscious, deliberate act of evaluating information and forming a conclusion, often with strong emotions and a critical tone. Huh. And there's the difference. There's the big difference right there. Right. Amber says had another person quit today. They worked like 2 weeks and tried to say that we lied on the job ad. Yeah, I ain't buying that one. You guys have been in you. There's no way. Oh, okay. You weren't talking about me. You're talking about. Okay. That's why I was like, I didn't match that. That's why it didn't fit because I thought it was about me. See, we alcoholics are selfish. We think it's always about us. That he thought it was a warehouse job. Like, bro, you called for 2 weeks to get. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I bet your intuition was like, something. Have you ever been like, okay, you had an intuition about something and you didn't listen to it and you regretted not listening to it? Does that happen? Yes, it has. It's happened to everybody in this world. I've been fooled too. Okay. So intuition is a gut feeling. Okay. It is more than just a gut feeling. These are all the things that you have experienced in your life. So you might see a pattern in someone else that you saw in someone that abused you, and you see the pattern. Okay. And patterns do not lie. Patterns do not lie. Amber says not everything is about Dion. It's all about Amber. No, it's all about Dion right now. I'm glad we get to have fun like this. When I went, I think I told you guys this the other day, but I was having a meeting with Aurora Mental Health, and Kathy comes in. All right, she's second in command at Aurora Mental Health. But we're friends at this point. We've had some hard conversations, man. But she was running a little late. She had to get something to eat. To me, yeah, if you need 10 minutes to put something in your stomach to help you out, I'm willing to wait. I have no problem with that. But anyway, she was late. She's like, sorry I was late. I had to grab something to eat. And I'm like, no big deal, Kathy. I don't mind. And she says, oh, yeah, but, we've learned that when it comes to Dion, you're here, man. It was something like that. Like, don't people know who you are? Oh, it was so fun. She wasn't far off. See, she understands me. It tells me she went out of her way to understand me. And I can appreciate that. That developed more trust. All right. All right. Well, intuition offers a quick, holistic sight. Judgment is a slower, more effortful process that can be influenced by biases, but is necessary for functioning in daily life. Right. Amber says, my intuition is usually right. I don't want it to be. That there are times I don't want my intuition to be right. This happens to me daily, Amber. That happens to me daily. I want to be wrong, but I know I'm not, because if I'm wrong, it'll make everything right. Right. And that's where it's got to end. After that, it'll start to become judgment. The more time I spend on this, the more judgmental it might become. But anyway, she says, my intuition is usually right. I don't want it to be. So I wait for the proof versus trying to manifest or dig for it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm also probably not going to try and go out of my way. I'll do enough digging to get to know who you are, but I'm not going to go looking for the proof on you to prove that I'm right either. All right. So I don't know what it is, but I can meet somebody and I will know if their intentions are nefarious or not. Doesn't work 100% of the time, but usually I'm usually correct. And it's because I've experienced a lot of things. So intuition is unconscious and automatic. But aren't we told to take a second? When it comes to your intuition, I tell you, listen to it. Listen to it. Because, see, it's not involving your brain. That's the main thing. Because my brain's a little jacked up, and it can go to judgment pretty quick. See, like right here, it says that judgment is slower, more effortful. Not for me. Oh, it takes little to no effort to judge somebody. Okay, so I got to ask myself those pertinent questions. Am I taking this personally? Am I taking it personally? That's going to be the first thing I need to ask myself. Because if I'm taking it personally, my intuition may be off. Am I looking at the facts here? Or am I working with an overwhelming emotion? Right? So it's unconscious and automatic. It arises from the unconscious processing of information, feeling like an automatic reaction or sudden insight. I do not think it's a sudden insight. These are things that have happened to you over a period of time, especially, and your intuition will get even better if you decide to work on your problems. Your intuition will get better. Now, if you bring a higher power into this, now we're talking your intuition. Now, so if your will is in line with God's, it is much easier to utilize your intuition. I had to post the meeting. All right. Oops, wrong thing. What else? Holistic and quick. Presents as a gut feeling or light bulb moment, integrating information holistically and without conscious steps of thinking. Okay. Now, when I'm talking to professionals out there, like when I was talking to ESAP, okay, they're the early development something, I don't remember. I was talking to them about some of their resources, because some of their resources have committed Medicaid fraud. Right. So waiting for them to admit it. Anyway, so I'm talking to them about it. And they say, well, this is going to be a tough one because they do our family. They do a lot of our family stuff. And I said, think of it this way. Were they doing that a year ago? No, they weren't. Oh, then what happened? What happened that now they're all family oriented? Why weren't they family oriented before? Because they took away all the money in the field that they're currently in, and now they're just chasing the money. And sure, intuition kicked in. I heard it. She goes, oh, that makes more sense than what is going on. See, this woman had an intuition about them. Right? She had an intuition, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Now she can. Intuition. Right? I don't agree that it's quick. Right? It may seem quick, but even with your intuition, give it 3-4 seconds. Ask yourself some questions, right? Experience-based. If you've had a lot of experiences in your life, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter. You have more intuition. See, growing up, I had a different experience, right? So I grew up until the age of 14. I grew up in white suburbia. Not much culture, not much diversity. At 14, I got put into group homes. And now Dion was hanging out with a lot of different ethnicity. So I got to see this from a lot of different angles. I sat there and watched how some people were being treated differently because of who they were than other people. Oh, it was blatant back in the 80s. And I couldn't believe it. Now, my brothers and sisters didn't experience this. Right? So the more experience you have, the more your intuition, but your intuition is based off past experiences. It is part of your survival mode. Right? Like, let's say the plane's going down. What's going to be and those mass drop. what's going to be your first intuition to put that on? And that's a good thing. It's a survival thing, right? Yeah. Often stems from internalized patterns. There it is, of experience and learning, allowing for rapid responses without explicit deliberation. That means name calling. That's just a fancy way of saying name calling. Right? Neutral or positive? Yes. Okay. Now, this is the hard one because you got to be neutral. Now, there have been times when, I've had a friend, another friend, and I go to them. I'm like, I did not have the best experience with them. Now, I also believe that people can change. So just keep an eye out. And I say this every time. I hope they have changed and I am wrong. I want you to know that. And I fucking mean that too. I do. I want to be wrong, even though I know I'm not. In a lot of cases, I want to be wrong. Okay? Because I'm the kind of person where, let's say Amber's friends with somebody I absolutely do not like. Okay? I'm not going to stop being friends with Amber because of that. That's stupid. Okay? And maybe she invites me to a meeting and that person's in that meeting. I'm going to stick around. I can put my own shit aside long enough. Yes, I can. I'm not there to harp on that person. I'm there to support Amber. See, my intentions, my motivations, what are they? Hey? So you got to be Switzerland when it comes to the intuitions. Associated with feelings of openness, curiosity, and sense of inner knowing rather than strong negative emotions. Right? Then we're going to get to judgment here. And then I gotta have to wrap this up. Okay. Not all judgment is bad. If I say you look good today, it's a judgment. That's a judgment for me, is it not? Okay. But for the most part, judgment is considered a bad thing. That would be encouragement, not necessarily judgment. But it can work both ways. Judgment isn't always bad, but in this case, it is bad. What are the difference? It is our I just had him, but then I saw Lori wrote it's the level of emotion, number one, that I'm putting into it. That's the number one thing. Is there hatred in this? Is there this? Is there that? Right? Hi, Lori. It's good to see you. Our intuition is a warning. I agree. Is a warning sign of logic, but we do judge, but do we judge based on personal biases? I think sometimes we do, Lori. Yes, and I've done it too. I would have to say yes. I've gotten much better at it though, right? We shouldn't, and Lori, this continue. It's kind of long, so I'm kind of splitting it up a little bit. We shouldn't be unhealed people do it we shouldn't, but unhealed people do it naturally. Yeah, it's a habit, right? This is why I do courses on biased thinking. I take personal inventory daily, sometimes more than once, and I focus on good and practice with gratitude. With God in my life, I seek connection and avoid separation. I was alone in my addiction, and that kept me in places longer than I wanted to be. I look for the good in others first rather than the bad. Great. And that's awesome. And that's exactly what we should do. If I don't like somebody, I'm going to look for the things in them that I can appreciate. That'll help me open my mind. Now, there's some people in this industry, we don't necessarily get along, but we have the same intentions. And we can put aside some of these other things. Yes, I think I think personal biases can interfere with intuition. I would agree with you on that, Lori. That's why you also need to practice it, right? All right. So judgment is conscious and deliberate, step-by-step reasoning, emotional and biased. There you go. You already called it, Lori. There it is. It's emotional and biased. I'm gonna dig more into that a little bit. I just got to wrap up because I got to get the room open here. Can be accompanied by strong emotions like frustration or annoyance and may be influenced by biases. Okay. A bias would be, I had an abuser and they look a lot like that. That would be a bias. Judging someone before you even really get to know them. All right. Is it cool to judge somebody or determine what somebody is on a first impression? Not always. So we got to leave some leeway. Question would be, what would God do? That'd be the right question, right? All right. So key differences. The process is different. Intuition is an unconscious, non-sequential information processing mode, while judgment is a conscious reasoning process. Speed. Intuition is typically fast and effortless, whereas judgment is more deliberate and requires more time and effort. Here's a big one. Emotional tone. Am I going at it angry? Right? Sometimes you'll get an intuition and it can turn into judgment because of these biases that we're talking about. So then you got to kind of erase that, go back. Okay. But here again, 80% of the program's keeping your damn mouth shut. Remember that. Okay. But I do know this, I'm getting better at it though, huh, Lori? I'm getting better at it. Lori's been helping me with that. All right. I gotta say, I've been in a lot of different industries, and I've never been treated so horribly than in any industry than in the recovery industry. I have never been treated this bad. I've been treated, and I did sales for merchant services, right? And it's because of what Lori said here. We shouldn't, but unhealed people do it naturally, right? So when I was unhealed, it was not my intuition talking, it was my judgment. It was all emotionally based. Yeah. In fact, I was the red flag. I was the one on the other side of that. Oh, I got a bad feeling about that guy. And they're talking about me, right? Yeah. So, mindset, intuition arises from an open, curious mindset. I'm going to have to remember that. Stay curious. We got to stay curious. While judgment tends to evolve a more closed off, opinionated stance. And that's where I've had to change things, right? For a little bit there, and this was years ago, I got pretty opinionated on some things. I'd come on here, rant, give my opinion, things like that. Now it's more open minded. Hey, where are we getting to here? What's the right answer? What can we do? What is best for you? What is best for me? What is best for the world around us? I would much rather get to that. And I think you would too. All right. Well, this has been a special live for Miss Amber Rose. All right. Thanks for joining. Chris, it was good to see you. Amber, Lori, as always, I love you. You know I do. Peace out. Have a day.